And that's why I wrote it the way I did. And if you read it, you'll know.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, the first 70 pages are my childhood, and I left home at 14.
Wow.
With a suitcase and went to the Greyhound bus station and ended up in Portland. And once we got to a certain point in our training, Sandy would have one of the wrestlers come down for, like, say, 2 wrestling sessions. And the reason he told me that he did that was that nobody wrestles the same. You can come up trained in the same school, you can come up working against each other, but nobody wrestles the same. And he wanted us to get a feel of everybody. And then Velvet showed up from Canada, and Sandy got tired of me being late to training because I was on public transportation. And one Sunday night, he says, I want you to go to your place. I want you to pack your gear and be ready by the time I get there. You're moving out. Well, Sherry was, bless her heart, she had me and Velvet and Art and Sean in the same house.
Wow.
Wow.
Right. And I chased Sean and Art out of Velvet and I's bedroom more times than I can count.
And Vicki, you mentioned something. I don't bring up anything, bad. I don't bring up anything you don't want to talk about. But you were at 14 years old. You were on your own in an apartment.
Yes, sir. It was. Wow. If you read my book, and I'm going to give you fair warning, the first 70 pages are rough. Right. But I did it for a reason, and I actually saw it come to where a gentleman DM'd me and said he had just finished my book and that it changed his whole world. And the reason that I wrote it the way I wrote it was because I wanted to show people, because I had, as a child, had tried to commit suicide more times than I can count due to my home life. And I wanted to let people know, look, yes, it's this bad right now, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Look where I was and look where I am now.
Right.
I wanted to give people hope. Yeah. Because there's a lot of kids out there that are being abused.
Yeah.
And Mick Foley is probably turned into one of my favorite wrestlers when he was at CAC this last one, when he supports the abused kids. He works with the abused kids, and he donates most of his, from what I understand, most of his profit goes to this oh shoot, what's the word of this? No, don't get old.
Foundation or foundation,
right?
That's it. Foundation. This foundation that he runs, most of his money goes into there. And that was, to me, that just put him over in my book.
Sure.
Because a lot of people don't realize just how bad it is out there.
Right.
They say 1 out of 4 kids has reported being assaulted by a family member. And that's just the ones that have spoken out about it. And like I said, there's times when, it's just really hard to see that the sun's going to come up the next day. And it left home at 14.
Wow.
with a suitcase and went to the Greyhound bus station and ended up in Portland.
Now,
And
you not only left home, but you left your country too, right? You were in Canada and you went to the U.S. or what?
No, I'm the Canada was part of the gimmick.
Okay.
Okay, I'm originally from Washington State. I was born in Goldendale.
Okay.
But when I left home,
you literally changed states at 14 years old on your own. That's phenomenal.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and it's an amazing story, Vicky. Just besides the wrestling, it's an incredible story. At age 14, though, it's just incredible to me. At age 14, I couldn't have done anything like you did.
And a girl and a female on top of it.
That's right. And you got a suitcase. You get an apartment. How in the world do you get an apartment and all this stuff at age 14? Because at age 14, I couldn't even have my own bicycle.
And let alone you're 70 now and you can't even do it.
That's
right.
A bicycle. It's not funny.
I woke up. I had left home before I was 14, and Sylvia, my biological mother, made a deal with me that she would write a note, because this was back in the days where you didn't have everything that's going on. We're talking 40 years, 50 years ago. Oof. And she wrote a note for me that said I was 16, and the only thing I had to do was make sure that when DHS came calling, that I was there, because she was still collecting money for me from the government. And I started out, like I said, 14. I started working at Denny's. And by then I was going to the matches every Saturday night. And there was one, I lasted, the first time I lasted a little bit over a year at Denny's. And on my, I was such a mark. I got on a Greyhound bus and I mapped out the matches for the next week. And I went to a match every night of those 7 days.
Wow.
Running on a Greyhound. And
wow.
Well, and that's when the guys started, kind of realizing, and they took care of me, just like they did when I was in the business. I remember I was sitting on the aisle, and Buddy came out of the dressing room, and he was walking, and all of a sudden he stopped, and he looked at me. He said, "She's everywhere."